So this former Christian turned agnostic. He grew up a great way, grew up in the church, grew up with his parents, teaching him about the good news. And obviously he was saved and had a good knowledge, but he went to college, studied science. And honestly, I would say it took a turn for a worse. Let's hear what he had to say about this. He talked about growing up when he was 18 years old and went off to college, studied science, and that's when everything just went sideways. Let's hear what he had to say.
I grew up in a Christian family for 18 years and went to college and studied neuroscience. Okay. And during that time, I became agnostic. And one of the things I did was I had so many conflicting ideas between what I was learning in science and what I was learning in the church, and I couldn't bring the two together. There was just a lot of contradictions and things like that. And it actually tormented me more than brought me any comfort. And I know you mentioned that happiness isn't the ultimate thing, it's pleasing God and stuff, and I get that. But I ultimately went on a journey where I said, okay, I'm just going to objectively look at things and say, if any new information is presented to me that betters my understanding about the current world, and it is a better understanding than my current belief system, and I have nothing to disprove it, then I will go with the better understanding. And over 2 years of just not taking anything that was awesome, that must have been God, and just going, oh, that must have been coincidence, because that's most objectively a better answer. Random things happen, we know this. So going off that direction, I ultimately ended up just going, I don't think I can be Christian anymore. I don't believe in this anymore.
I saw this a couple of times, but when I saw it this time right here, I realized that there was a lot of fear in what he was saying. And I know a lot of people are very scared of the unknown. That's what a lot of the fear comes in when it comes to Christ, is that a lot of people, they don't really know, what's going to happen, what's going to take place. You know what I mean? You're not really certain, was this God's doing? What is God saying? You really have to seek out for God. He doesn't just give it to you like that, any kind of way. He doesn't just, tell you, things clearly. You really just got to seek for him to really hear that voice of his. And I found that this is something that happens with a lot of people. You go off to college because you were trained up one way, you were taught one way. And where some people would say that, oh, no, you were institutionalized. Yeah, whatever. You were trained one way, you grew up, then you went to college, you went out, you became a young adult, you got into life, and other piece of information starts to get thrown at you. But this is where you want to have a very solid foundation in your relationship with Christ. Because, when you step into the world, there's going to be a lot of other things that you're met with. And you went to college and this guy gained some knowledge. And this is for anybody who might be going to college and you might be surrounding yourself with other things that you're learning, other people that you're meeting, whatever the case may be. You got to know that knowledge is something that is man-made. There's buildings, there's infrastructures, that are built here. There's jobs that are here in the world. There's things that we do as humans on a day-to-day basis that, help keep our society going. And there's knowledge that we have to obtain in order to be able to carry out these jobs, carry out these duties. So knowledge is man-made. These are things that were constructed by men, in order to give us justification and to give us reasoning when we're building homes. You have to know, guarantee, you have to know. It's without a doubt. I must know the coordinates for this. I must know the right material to use, the right tools to use. I must know all of that because this home is going to be sheltering people and you don't want that home crashing down. So when it comes to science and math and things like that, yes, numbers, equations, formulas, you do need those kinds of things. But when it comes to Christ, guys, you got to realize he's not a physical person. He's a spiritual being. Bible talks about that. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth because God is a spirit. And he said earlier when he was talking, he got to a point where he was so confused with what he was learning in his neuroscience path and what he already learned as he was growing up. He had gotten so confused that he got to a point where he said, look, well, if anything just comes to me, I'll take it. Anything that can give me some clarity, anything that can give me an answer. And that's dangerous because that's that's where I say the devil likes to prey on people like that, because you're willing to take any piece of advice. And people who are looking at God as trying to see something physically tangible that you can hold on to, something you can grab, if you're really looking at it like that, you're always going to be missing the mark, and you're probably always going to find yourself in that very frustrating position that this guy's in right now, where he's literally playing tug of war between his spirit, you know what I mean? Because he has knowledge that he had as he grew up. He has an understanding of Jesus Christ. But when he went to college and started studying science, science has a lot of explanations on how the world was created and how things are made and how us humans were created and things of that nature. And they have formulas that were man-made. They have equations that were man-made that give the students answers, clear, straightforward answers. And that's what they're looking for when they're looking for God. But you got to realize that the Christian community is a faith-based community. It's not like, because I know a lot of people, they come to Christians because you guys really want to detest God, or some people really, think that it's like a debate, or, prove to me that God exists. I see it all the time on the internet. People talk, prove to me that God exists, or people will say, prove to me that God doesn't exist. That's not a debate I'm willing to have, because he does exist. It just is what it is. And the Christian community that I consider myself a part of, it's a faith-based community, guys. And a faith-based community is a community that is literally built up off of believing in God. We have not seen him. Our own eyes, we have not seen him, but we believe in him. We believe on him. We trust that he's going to do what he said that he's going to do for us. We trust. That's all it is. Think of it of just like being in a relationship. You get with a person, you meet with a person, typically honeymoon stage, everything's good, everything's solid. You keep going down the stage, you start to see parts of that person that you never saw before. You never saw those people before, but you trusted at the beginning of the relationship that they wouldn't hurt you like they said they weren't going to hurt you. You trusted these things, and you went through the relationship and you started to see other sides of them. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that God is going to be that way towards us, where, I trusted you and I'm starting to see this other side of you and now you're leaving me barren. No, because the difference between us and God is that we're messy, man. We're petty and we make mistakes, but God doesn't make mistakes. God's not messy and he's not petty. So he will keep his promises, and we believe that. Well, why do you believe that? Because we believe it. And not only just by that, because sure, we may have not seen him, and we may not have seen the things that are to come, but we do have enough personal evidence in our own life through our own testimonies and our own individual experiences with Christ, where we know that yes, he does live, and he is alive, and he's here in our hearts, and he's here with us. He didn't leave us, just like he said in his word that he'll never forsake us. And we believe on that. That's the reality of it. We believe on that, guys. It's a faith-based community, and people have to realize that. There's so much attack on the Bible. He's going to talk about it. The guy asks him, why is it, you're so confused? What proof are you really looking for? Because the Bible's giving him proof, but neuroscience and his science classes are giving him formulas and problems to give him an answer, 1 + 1 = 2, and he feels more comfortable with that because there's certainty. But let's hear what he has to say.
Why? What piece of evidence has caused you to say, Christianity's false?
There's just a lot of stuff. It's like, so for instance, I don't know, you mentioned Big Bang and stuff like that. Definitely think it's true. We kind of have photos. Go look it up. But I'm serious. But the thing with all of that is you might say it's true. Another Christian might say it's not. Do you believe the Earth's 4.5 billion years old? Or do you believe it's 5,000 years old? Because if you say it's 5,000, now I'm really skeptical of your opinion. And you understand why?
I'm absolutely convinced the universe is at least 58 years old.
Yeah.
Good answer.
At least.
Okay.
Great answer.
I think it's 14.5 billion.
Yeah, I think the better evidence is that it's 14.5 billion years old, but I don't know what that has to do with Christianity or causing you to doubt. Why would that?
Well, because you brought up a lot of points, and I've seen other arguments, though, before that will argue for why the Earth is 5,000 years old, or why the...
Okay, but how old the Earth is has nothing really to do with whether or not Christianity is true.
100%. It has nothing to do with that, and that's the problem that I find that a lot of people have, is that there's always a huge attack on the Bible and trying to prove its credibility, or if it's honest or true, if you will. And they use science because science has been created in a way where, like I said, you input numbers into a formula, or you complete an equation, if you will, and you get an answer. And a lot of people are looking for that when it comes to Christ, and a lot of people are looking at that when it comes to God. But what a lot of people aren't doing is developing that individual relationship with him to like kind of go and find it. It's like they're trying to get the answer first in the Bible before they go to him. But you need to seek him first. You know what I mean? You have to be interested enough to go and seek him. And I know that frustration comes with a lot of people. And that's when I kind of just say, honestly, take that frustration and push it onto there. But this guy, he seemed like he was very confused. Like he's saying, like, what does the length of time that the world has been, here matter in the grand scheme of things when we're talking about the Bible? What do we really need to know? If you really want to kind of get a better understanding and you're in this situation like this guy and you're really trying to like figure out like what does all this really mean? You know what I mean? What's the purpose behind all this? You just need to know, number one, Jesus Christ died on the cross. He died on the cross for the sins of every single body. Me, you watching this video, everybody, anybody else not watching this video, he died for the sins of everybody. He rose from the dead, and he is yet alive, and he's seated at the right hand of God, and he is looking and watching over each and every one of us. And if we believe in that, if you believe in that one thing right there, and you really confess that, and you truly you believe that in your heart, you're saved, man. You'll be saved. You got to realize that, the Bible's full of stories. A lot of people, everything in the Bible's not true. How can this be true? And people just like to pick things out of the Bible just to kind of make a point or to prove their point as to why they shouldn't follow Christ, or as to why they don't believe in this whole, Christianity thing or faith talk or whatever the case may be. But the Bible is full of stories, it's full of wisdom, and it's full of guidance. And although sometimes it might be a little bit dramatized, and although sometimes the stories are, very, very, very out there, depending on which story or which parable you're reading, the message still applies. You know what I mean? If you really open yourself up to look at it and you really put yourself in a position to where you can actually receive something from the word, then you're going to find out very quick that it has information in there that you can use. The Bible talks about that. We need you to help us through others. Maybe a better way to put it, so make us wise, to help us to listen, and not just to seek it out, but to listen to it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, when they're going to the Bible, they're going to the Bible to look at it in a way to, what can I read to where I can stop reading this because I read something that I don't like? Or what can I read to where I can use it to make a point as to why this whole thing is false, or this whole thing is wrong, or this whole everything in it is a lie and no one should be listening to it? You don't have to put yourself in that position. The Bible has the answers to some of your supernatural questions. Ask God for the rest. There's a lot of questions that a lot of people have. The Bible has the answers for them. If you really go with an open heart and you're really trying to look and just ask God, honestly, God, reveal some of these things to me, because this guy has an understanding. But hey, I just need some things revealed to me, because sometimes you get a little bit of confusion. You know what I mean? But the devil's the author of confusion. So we're going to just pray that guy out of here. We're going to keep him out of here. And just realize that God has the answer to some of your God has the answer to everything. The Bible has some of the answers to your supernatural questions. Ask God for the rest of them, man, to reveal that to you, and really be open to get that revealed to you. Science, they have their equations. They have their things that they give you. Math, 1 + 1 = 2. There's equations for all those things to give their justifications of why 1 + 1 = 2, or, whatever other formulas there are out there. But you cannot try to get clarity, and you cannot try to get a better understanding by trying to mesh those two, because you're going to end up confused. And that's where the devil wants you, because then you end up picking no side. You end up doing nothing because you're confused, and you end up just saying, you know what, forget it. None of this makes sense. I'm out. Just like me. I appreciate you guys. I thank you guys for tuning in this long. I definitely thank you guys always for staying. To the next one, guys. That's all I got. I'm out.